Okay, hello everyone. Today's January 31st, and you may be watching this now, or you may tune in tomorrow or even after the full moon. But let's do a really quick time date check-in here. So, January 31st, I'm here on the West Coast. So, we are still at a 98% waxing towards a full moon. And that full moon will peak tomorrow, February 1st, at about 2 p.m. here on the West Coast. So this video is to help you prepare for the Leo full moon that's happening at 13 degrees of Leo. We'll get there in a second, but first let's take a look where we are. We are at the full moon tomorrow, and then we have a new moon happening, which is also the solar eclipse on February 17th. So the previous new moon that we had 2 weeks ago and this full moon are the final lunar cycles before going into eclipse season. And it is hard to believe that we are already there. It's just wild. It's the end of January already. And I know for me, I feel like it just flew by. So let's take a really quick look at the zodiac here. This is where all the planets are in the sky at the moment of that full moon, which is, again, tomorrow around 2 p.m. PST. However, everything is pretty much in place now leading up to it, and there's certainly a lot of big energy in the sky. Now, this is one full moon where there's a couple lunations a year where I just don't want to pull out any technology at all. And it's usually always a Leo full moon or new moon, which the new moon happens in August during Leo season. And if you're in the Architects of the New Earth community, or you see me on Instagram, you'll know that I launched the Already Golden Embodiment Challenge, a 31-day embodiment challenge for the whole month of August. And that's because during Leo season, it's like full heart and full fire. And we really want to get out of our heads and into our bodies. And the axis that Leo exists on is Leo and Aquarius. So these are sister signs. These are signs that are in polarity. And when we're working with polarities in astrology, we're always wanting to come to that perfect center point. And the full moons and new moons are going to pull us in one direction or the other and really help us see what is maybe out of balance so that we can see better how to find and create that balance. So if you look at what's happening in the sky here, we have a lot of polarity happening. So we have this big full moon lunation in Leo. And if you want to take a look at your own chart to see where this is popping up for you, you're going to want to look at 13 degrees of Leo in your chart. And then over across from that in Aquarius, we have all of these planets. We have a stellium stacked up here. We've got Mercury and Venus. And then this is the sun here. You can see that at 13 degrees with Mars on the other side. And then Mars is conjunct Pluto there as well. So this is a big, intense full moon in the sense that we have a lot of Aquarian energy. The sun is in a stellium in Aquarius. And then we have that one moon on the other side kind of pulling us into the themes, the Leo themes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my screens now and just talk to you because, again, Leo season is really one where we want to get out of our bodies and into our hearts because Leo is the sign of the heart-led leader. Leos make great kings or queens, philosopher kings, politicians, leaders, teachers. These are the ones when they're in their fullest expression and in their heart, and they have that beautiful combination of that solar plexus, confident, brave, empowered. Like the solar plexus is an energy that has like turbo boosters from behind, just pushing you towards purpose or any kind of glowing pursuit that has you really feeling like I can't help but do this in my life. I love it and it fulfills me. And then bonus with Leo, because Leo is a householder sign, meaning that they put their fire into action for the community or the tribe that they're serving. So we often think of Leo as, I mean, the one that comes to mind first is the lion, right? The lion of the pride. That's really is there to like move those genetics forward and to hunt and protect and be that leader for the pride. But then we also have the father of the household. It's each of our inner divine masculine. Leo asks us to follow our hearts, to have those turbo boosters pushing us in the direction of that unbounded, unrestricted, spontaneous creative force. And you could even think about the act of making love, procreation. Really, it's a creative activity and pursuit, but that's not necessarily why you're doing it. You're purely following instinct. You're purely following what feels good, and the love that you have and the desire to bond then spontaneously creates something that is even bigger than you. And that's really the goal of Leo energy, is to have that electrical pulse pushing you from a heart directed place into creation and creating that which is for the best of those that have come before you, and being the leader in your own life in that sense. So because this is a full moon in Leo, what it's going to illuminate in you, and hopefully eliminate, is that which is holding you back from being able to like purely and instinctually follow that impulse to create and to spontaneously participate in your life when it comes to joy, when it comes to unrestricted freedom. Is there confidence leading you? Is there this like passion, this love, right? So that's what's going to show up when we continue to tune into Leo energy, and we continue to move through this 2-week full moon cycle towards the next new moon or towards eclipse season. So let's also take a second to think about where we're at in terms of the solar year. So we just moved through a Capricorn new moon, and we were really asked to kind of seed and start to bring and think about the structure that's needed to grow those seeds that we're looking to plant this year, right? So we're coming into planting and growth season. As soon as the spring kicks off, the energy will really start to move forward, and we'll be climbing towards midsummer, where we're really putting a lot of energy into growth. And then from there, we kind of wane. We can let things grow on their own in their own time until harvest season. So we just came through Capricorn, which is time to bring a little bit of structure and make sure life is set up to hold the dream that you're bringing in, and make sure you're set up to hold the dream that you're dreaming this year, or the plans that you have this year. And the beautiful thing about having the Leo full moon following that new moon in Capricorn, that very structured new moon that asks us to get like kind of serious and responsible, is it then pulls us into Leo energy, which is it's kind of the antithesis of Capricorn in a way, where the shadow of a Leo can be someone who was asked to grow up too quickly, someone who got told not to play and instead you should be thinking about your future, right? Someone who got responsibility and or like doom and gloom or generational patterning and responsibilities put onto them in too heavy or too intense or too soon of a way. Because when we're really like building that inner divine masculine, that's like joy and fun and creation just for the sake of it. So Leo is the artist that never stopped being the artist, or the musician that never stopped being the musician, or a little kid that said he just wanted to be an actor and didn't have anyone saying, oh, you'll never make it as an actor, that only 1 in a million people make it, blah blah blah, right? When that happens, when a little boy is in that energy of heart and just pure imagination and dreaming, very Leo, and a father figure, for example, comes in to say like, no, that won't work, or you shouldn't do that, or you should be more responsible. what happens is this like heart contraction. You feel this moment of like closing. You feel this little kid shutting down and going like, "Oh, I guess it's not safe to follow my dreams." And anyone that has important or big placements in the sign of Leo or the fifth house would definitely have energy around in their life when they started to feel that contraction for the first time. And then basically what this full moon is doing every time it comes around is showing up or illuminating in you that original wound, those original contractions. And so we can look back to about 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, but specifically like around the age of 9, 10. At that age, we're getting more autonomy, right? So we're not so little anymore that we are kind of attached at the hip to mom or dad, but we're starting to explore the world more and have a little bit more freedom. And it really is how protected you are by that outer armor of the masculine structure in your life at that time that helps fortify this Leo energy in you. So if you were raised by someone, it could be a woman or a man. It's just about that inner divine masculine. But conventionally, definitely this shows up in the father figure or the masculine figure in the household. If you had two moms, for example, typically one of them would be maybe stronger in their inner divine masculine, and they would naturally take on the role of the container or the safe space. So it doesn't have to be as conventional as I'm explaining it. We're talking about the inner divine masculine, but I'm just going to speak to a conventional like mother father dynamic. So at that age, around 9, 10, 11, that's when we start going out and playing. We start flirting with life, as I call it. We might get a crush. We might be a little bit deeper into being able to learn piano or taking a hobby seriously. We might be old enough to take responsibility over our own pet, for example. So we're really starting to dabble with life in a little bit of a like tiny adult type way. And it's really important to allow kids at this age to have a lot of space from the impending responsibility and duty that comes in for all of us later in life, right? The reality is living on earth is we have bills and we have time and there's structure and there's responsibility, there's consequences for your actions, etc. And those are important things to learn. However, at this age, it's really the job of the parents to hold the duty and the responsibility. Like, of course, we're teaching manners and general like life skills, but when it comes to joy and creativity, when it comes to like the spark that's so beautifully alive in little kids and like preteens, right, as they start to explore more and more, you really want to let that burn and burn and burn and, you know, tamper here and there for sure, keep them safe, give them a certain idea of structure. But this is kind of where it's like, okay, your curfew is 7:30 p.m. You have to be home by the time the sun goes down. Now, probably all the kids have smartphones or whatever. But back in the day, we were just running around on the street. We knew we had a curfew. So we were kind of getting entrained in that, but we didn't really know, we weren't fixed to time anymore. And that's a really beautiful place to allow someone to be and to stay without bringing in too many harsh consequences, because what you do is you force a child at that age to just grow up too quickly. And it thwarts our ability to follow our hearts in life. And this, frankly, happens to us all the way through the heavy conditioning years, 1 to 14. And then more from 14 to 28. But those early years are certainly like the biggest impact on contracting the system, which naturally comes in at that moment of birth, just like in its full expression. And then over time, life happens, conditioning comes in, and we contract here and there, and we get into this like box, living in this little box of like, oh, this person told me I shouldn't do that, but that convention told me I shouldn't. This institution says I can't do that. And we start living very boxed in. And Leo is this energy of really wanting to like expand, like the sun. Like, can you imagine if our sun had parameters on it? Like, it could really only shine very brightly on certain dates and times. And there was a big, curtain that would come across and block it. It's so inorganic to put in any limitations on the sun. And in Leo, you really want that inner sun to be like full blast all of the time. Let other signs come in to create structure, right? Like what's after Leo is Virgo, and Virgo is where it says, okay, you've had a lot of fun, you've been crazy, you've learned how to follow your heart, you've got passion, you've got drive, you've got confidence. Now let's just kind of structure it a little bit and bring in some practicality to help us get ready to move in the world that is somewhat structured, right? So we let other signs come into tamper, but in this Leo energy, like we really want to be like fully expressed all of the time, just like the sun is. So again, during this little full moon, you're going to feel where you are contracted, where you are not yet fully expressed. And it does help to trace that back to early conditioning, to maybe around that time, 9 or 10. Did you feel safe and confident? Was it encouraged, or did you have someone saying like, quit your childish hobby because you're going to have to be thinking about going to law school someday, right? So that's like the Leo archetypal energy. As the Leo grows up into an adult, they never really lose that full expression. So you might see hobbies like doing, playwriting or acting in your spare time, or having an affinity for a certain outside of work hobby or music. You might love to lead. You might be a mom or a dad and the family and just thrive with like taking your kids to sports and hanging out and playing with them and all of the things. Pets, that's another thing in the Leo energy. They love to just have any kind of amount of bountiful, fun, joyful activity happening, and pets certainly fill that space as well. So as the Leo child grows up and doesn't have restrictions on them, they become this adult that's then confident in the world, right? And this is a very heart-based way of moving through the world. It's very brave. It's very kind of sovereign. Again, it's like the sun. The sun doesn't ask if it can shine every day. It just comes in and it does what it does. Is I'm at peak illumination. I'm here to shine on you. My essence is what warms you. And there's this real sovereignty or confidence in embodying that Leo energy, because it doesn't matter what you don't know. It doesn't matter what you haven't embodied. Like you are aware that just you showing up and being is the job. And by merit of you being there, you radiate on others. And then there's, again, space to learn and grow. That's what the confident Leo does. And again, in August, when we do our embodiment challenge, the whole point of that is to get away from screens, to get away from learning, to get away from personal growth, and just just exist. It's a prompt for every day of the month: breathing, getting into your body, going for walks, like all of these I am kind of exercises. And so again, these are all prompts for you to think about, where am I on this spectrum? I'm giving you a big Leo download, right? And you can think about how you were raised, or how you show up currently at your place of work or in your friends group, for example, and just do a simple thought experiment. Like, and am I walking into these situations, regardless of what I deem my personal like defaults or lack of knowledge or lack of growth to be, am I still showing up radiating? Am I still showing up brave and proud of myself, and knowing that I do have something to offer to every circle, right? Am I able to step onto that platform and teach and guide when it's my time to do so? Or am I letting the things that I'm keeping myself in, right? Like the shadow of the sun is literally the moon. It's the lack of light. Or am I keeping myself out of the spotlight because there's so much contraction in my natural full expression because of what so and so? Maybe again in my family system, I wasn't encouraged. No one was telling me I was really good at this. People were telling me to be more responsible, right? So we're looking at this balance, and we're trying to feel into what are the things, the conversations, the patterns, the mental thoughts, the, like the things that come up when you notice dimming yourself, or when you think of stepping onto a platform and putting yourself into the spotlight to lead in any given way or follow your heart. These are the things that we want to hold in our awareness during this full moon cycle. And these are the things that are naturally going to be challenged again during this cycle. So I always say when we're working with lunar cycles, we don't have to go out, and in general, when we're working on spiritual growth and personal development, we don't need to go out seeking growth opportunities. They're going to come to us. And if you're in a place where you're like, no, I'm feeling pretty good this full moon, like I think I know the lesson and I've actually stepped into it. And so this full moon energy is actually helping me feel more embodied because it's just amplifying a strong point in me and I'm loving it, right? So if that's the case and that's where you're at, don't like listen to the video trying to find the growth points. Give yourself this opportunity this month and this lunation to be like, oh no, okay, I actually feel like I'm good. I'm there. I feel great. And at that point, then maybe you switch off the video and you just go out and keep doing your thing, or you hop into a community, or you call a friend, you see how they're doing because you're in a great place to lead. So why not use this energy to show up for someone else? Because we all know that we're all going to have those cycles where we're feeling great and we're feeling not so great. And when we're feeling the not so great, we rely on those that are in the full expression to help lift us, or help at least shine their light to show us this too shall pass. And just by seeing this person who I helped last month is feeling great right now, that reminds me that I will feel better next month, right? So I was saying, like, part of that Leo energy is really about like allowing yourself to be what you are without focusing on what you're not. And that's kind of where we could get the shadow of Leo energy. So that's important to bring into narcissism, overconfidence, this kind of like bravado that maybe isn't actually on a solid foundation. I always think it's kind of funny to think about that energy, because I often find these people are very successful though. Like sometimes when you analyze too much, say you have a business plan and you really want to do it and you've thought about it and you've been planning it for years, and maybe the guy down the street had the same plan and he's just really confident and he doesn't have the plan, the execution, the wisdom or anything that you have, or the savings. He just has bravado. He just has confidence, and he just started his business and now he's doing really, really well. And you're kind of looking at him being like, but that's what I wanted to. Well, he was confident enough to just start it. Whereas you are kind of like analyzed by the preparation or the analytical stage, and or you don't quite have the confidence or that, again, those turbo boosters, that solar electrical like push energy to just put your impact on the world, to just put your fire out there. So we do get a lot of very successful people that are Leos because they have that push, that drive to put themselves out in the world. And fortune often favors the bold. That's a very Leo statement. Leos are comfortable putting themselves on a pedestal. And the more you take action, the more life just serves you, right? That's how things work. And so fortune favoring the bold, or then we get it going really far. The bolder you are, the less tampered it is by really like being embodied in the heart. Then we can start having narcissism or hedonism, where we are just following that which feels good. Those turbo boosters are leading us in the direction of like too much consumption. This could be like partying too much or addiction or just being really stubborn or thinking that you're the one that has all of the say in the family system. Like another shadow of Leo can be the father figure who just is very rigid, like I'm the king of this household, it's my way or the highway. That's again too much bravado, too much confidence, not leaving enough room for the heart that leads, that benevolent leader. Because again, we are working in a fire sign here, and fire isn't necessarily feeling into how their actions are making people feel. So we always want to bring it back, and we want to bring it centered on, does this make me, because Leo is all about me, does this make me feel heart warmed? And is this a benevolent way to move in my life? That's where we get the antidote to those Leo-based actions that can be a little bit, what's the word? Like dehumanizing to other people, right? So if it warms you, if it feels benevolent, if it feels like something that is a instinctual heart-based creation, then we're finding that sweet spot in the Leo element. And regardless of where you are, not enough Leo, too much Leo on the spectrum as you're feeling into this season, what you can do as an experiment is just, suspend your life for a moment, sit back and do a thought experiment, write this down on paper. At this time, if I had all of the money in the world and all of the confidence in the world, what would I do with myself? Right? And think about you. Don't think about your people. Don't think, just think about you, because this is really a fire that drives you forward. And if it benefits your family, then perfect. And it should, right? But it is still the I am. So what's best for you is best for everyone when we're in the heart. If I had all the money in the world and all the confidence in the world, what would I do? What would my life look like? That will give you a really good idea of how fulfilled you are in the Leo energy. Okay. So, of course, we can't just like, we don't all have all the confidence and all the money in the world. So, what do we do once we get that list? Right. So, for me, for example, I just have always wanted to be an artist. Like if I had both of those things, I would just create art all day, every different kind of art from whatever I felt like that day, from writing to pottery to painting to who knows. I would just do that every day. Just be in full expression through what I wear, through my house, through everything all the time. So what do I do with that? Then it's really helpful to bring in or tune into the season that we're in. And that's not going to be very hard to do right now because we're in Aquarius. And as I showed you at the beginning of the video, there's all of those other planets in Aquarius. And again, even if you don't know astrology, you can still do these thought experiments in you. You're going to get to basically the same place. It's just the astrology really helps you tune in and know exactly where Leo energy is in your chart and where Aquarius energy is, right? So for me, the Leo full moon is in my 6th house and the sun is in my 12th house. So I'm tampering 12th house Aquarian energy of like, basically I'm very Aquarian by nature. I'm very etheric. I'm able to connect to the quantum realm and to channel and to bring in information. And that kind of energy gets me like really buzzing and upright and very like innovative and energized and wanting to create, wanting to pull from nothing and to like share something, right? And then over here where Leo is, it's like, yeah, but does it work in your life? Like, are the systems set up to, right? Because it's that 6th house Virgo energy. Are the systems set up to actually put your creativity into the world in a way that has like form and function? And so I'm feeling on this dynamic of, when am I too much over here where I'm just in this mode of like innovation and thinking and pure surrender, and when I'm over here and I actually want to have a life that is full of creativity and passion, and just like creation for the sake of creation? Do I have a life that's set up to function that way? So that's kind of what I'm feeling into. So that's where it helps to know your astrology. But in general, right now, you've got your list. Let's go back to our list, right? Of like, what is that thing that really pulls your heart? And then you think about that this Aquarian energy, which is very strong in the sky right now. And it's like bringing in themes of innovation. Aquarius is the internet, it's advanced technology, it's AI, it's anything that's like currently and consistently breaking the mold and pushing the boundaries of technology. It's where technology elevates to help the collective or to help your workplace or to help you do your art better, right? It's the benevolent use of new systems and new structures, not just technology, but it's revolutionary. It's looking at a government system and saying, okay, this isn't working anymore. Aquarians are new. They're here for a new world, for a new way of doing things. So it's that innovation, right? This is why we see a lot of government political stuff popping up and a lot of structures being challenged at the moment, because that energy in Aquarius is really like asking us to look at where in our life are we wanting to put love and innovation into old systems. So this could be a very kind of interesting polarity for you if you're strong in this Leo Aquarius axis, because part of you might say like, yeah, I love to lead and guide, say it's at work, this team. And, you know, I am kind of the leader of the tribe here in a lot of ways. And you certainly have the heart, right, to lead and to support that community. But maybe you feel like you're being left behind with technology, or that young people are coming in, or more innovation is coming in that you can't quite keep up in. So that's where we start to shadow or contract our sun, right? Just like, and I'm sure you can trace that all the way back to when you were a kid and not feeling good enough just to show up as you before at that time that you knew anything about the world. So it's about honoring our kind of wisdom, honoring our position within the tribe, which is to lead until the bitter end. Like, again, you think about a lion and how a lion rules his like herd of lions for 10 years, right? And it's towards the end where he naturally fizzles and fades out and gets pushed out, but that process happens without him even trying. And while he's still there, he's got to show up and he's got to be there and he's got to be strong. And Leo is about embodying this like strength or this conviction that even though the world is changing, there are some things that we know still to be true, right? And this is why with AI, for example, like if you're innovating in your business and you're wanting to bring it to the next level, maybe a lot of your business was based on being in front of people and really kind of sharing from that confident place and from your wisdom. And now you're finding everything's going online and everyone's using AI and everyone's producing content really quickly. And there can be this feeling of like, oh, what I have to share isn't quick enough anymore. It's not enough output, or it's not, everyone else is doing these courses and these this and that and that. And it's like, that's the Aquarian energy. When you get lost in it, it's like it causes you to float away. It causes you to float out of your body. And Aquarian in general is very upper cerebral, and Leo is very like fiery and in the body. So we might look at AI and think we're being left behind. And this is where you go like, okay, between, being a primal caveman taking care of his tribe, no technology, that's old Leo archetype, and being this like new age Aquarian, pumping out content using AI with absolutely no human connection, right? This is that out of body. Like we have an issue in our society with, and especially when you start waking up, spirituality, people come out of their body and they just want to be up here all the time because it's the body that holds all of the dense feelings, but it's also the body that is the vessel through which true wisdom comes. We're not here to pump out information through these systems. We're here to use these systems to bring new information in and then slow it down and process and filter it through my vessel. Again, Leo is the I am. So I don't care what people or content creators are doing to speed up their work. If it's AI generated, I could care less, because I know that what I produce always will and always has to come through me, because it's my vessel that's here to do this work and to share my creativity. And so I might learn how to use it slightly, but I always bring it in and slow it down and filter it through the heart. And then I confidently express it with the world, and that's mastery, right? And the Leo is the confidently part. It's the heart part, and it's the part that knows there's nothing more valuable than heart-based leadership. And however you are here and meant to lead in your world, again, which can be found in your birth chart, in which house, that's where you really are here to sink back in and get into the body, regardless of what's going on out there. Or this could also be your excitement to take that seed that was planted, right, and that's gestating, and to start creating these big lofty goals and plans for it, right? It's like you're pregnant with a child and you already have that child's, you've innovated that child's life, right? And you've set up all of the like ideas and structures and everything around it before even meeting the child. It's like sometimes we just need to go slow and be with our body and have trust that it's like, okay, it's not even have trust that, it's more a reminder to filter absolutely everything you do through this vessel. And every time Leo is going to bring you back to this vessel, no matter how much you try to ignore it, right? And innovate and speed things up and get out of your body to process it. If you truly want to create, it has to happen through this vessel. And so the biggest thing with a Leo full moon is what fears come up in you when you're striking this balance between innovating and, being forward thinking and taking those next steps towards cultivating the seed or the dream you have for this year in your life, and actually living it through your body. Because it doesn't matter how, right? Like, think about that guy who's just started his business down the street. He was able to take action and find success because he was able to take steps through his body, and move through this body confidently to put his mark on the world. Somewhere where Aquarians can get very like held up, and this is where we'll talk on the Aquarius new moon. I'm just thinking, is it going to be a new moon or is it going to be in Pisces? I believe we're missing the Aquarius new moon. So we'll talk about it now. Somewhere where that Aquarius energy can get out of balance is too much analyzing and thinking and not enough action. With this Leo full moon, it's asking you, like, how are you taking action? Are you taking action confidently, knowing that the way you move in the world is the right way? Or does fear come up in your body when you're asked to take confident, bold action in the world in a heart-based way? And again, it's that fear and identifying that, and the where and the why, like where it comes from, why it came from, what has it taught you over the years, and where are you at in the readiness to step into a new octave. And sometimes that readiness just looks like, I'm just ready to be aware of it and to breathe through the hard feelings that come up during this cycle. And that's perfect. That's huge. That's a quantum leap if you're just identifying it and not letting it pull you into a whirlpool of self-judgment and, criticism and shame and guilt. Even if you feel those things pulling at you, the fact that you're aware of it and you know it's happening is so good. It's so good. Because what you're doing is you're slowly building capacity not to sink, not to let the nervous system pull you into density. And then next time an opportunity comes around, you've already done that work to resist the plunge, that you can maybe now even just imagine what you would do instead. And imagination is huge. Imagination is our greatest ally in and the blueprint for all of our goals and dreams in life. So that's a really beautiful Leo kind of full moon activity, is to identify where the fears are in the body and maybe see if you can still find a creative impulse amidst that, instead of letting the doom and gloom kind of pull you down. Okay. Something else I want to talk about that's very well, this full moon is on Imbolc. And what is Imbolc? It's the ancient Celtic seasonal celebrations or festivals or ceremonies. Imbolc comes at the middle point between winter solstice and spring equinox, right? So we're right there at the middle point between the two. And Imbolc means in the belly. And so we talk about winter solstice as being those like bulbs that are planted underground. The winter season is where everything's kind of like unseen and frozen. It's very similar to like a being pregnant. So in the belly, a pregnant woman is gestating, and in the early seasons of gestation, there's like not much going on in there, right? But by the time we get to Imbolc, it's like that contraction or that kick. We start to feel that there is something in the belly, and that's when we are hit with this very human awareness of like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to give birth to this thing. And we all know that birth is painful, right? So that's very Leo full moon. And again, this full moon is happening exactly on Imbolc this year. And it's where the seed that's been gestating, it starts to speak to us and say like, yeah, this isn't just like a made up thing that's happening. It's really in you, and it's really going to take work. And so this can be a really scary time of year again, if you are like unconscious to it. It's very late winter. Often at this time, things are beyond frozen. We've been in winter so long that it's seemingly no end in sight. If you've stored food, we talk about in the fall and the harvest, the beaver full moon of storing food and creating your shelter. If at this point you've been in that shelter for a long time, your food reserves are running thin. It in general is a time of fear for the natural world. Maybe if the frost lasts too long, the trees won't make it. Can we trust that the sun's going to come back and start warming us up? All of these natural fears come up in our body, in our natural world. And similarly, in the gestation of the dream that we have for this year for ourselves, we start to feel the kicks or the contractions of the reality that we're going to have to give birth to this dream soon. And that's exactly what this Leo full moon is doing. It's fortifying you by showing the places where you are still in fear of living life confidently through this body. It's very fire horse energy too, right? It's preparing us for that big shift. And again, with eclipse season coming next, eclipses, we know, are when life happens to us. Often we go through all of these lunar cycles and we're just kind of like, attuned to the patterns and working on the patterns on a kind of subconscious way. Or if you're tuned into the cycles and following along with the videos, you're much more aware of it and you're seeing the patterns in your life show up. But you don't always have like big, intense, purposeful life shifts happening. That's what happens every year when eclipse season comes. So again, with full moon in Leo, saying, are you confident? Are you prepared to confidently like put your fire out there in the world and let it stand for itself when life asks you to give birth to a dream, or when life asks you to plant and till and sow the seed that you are here to do in your life, or that you're ready to do this year. And the eclipse will come and also kind of push you into action for that. So we're getting a lot of like the first kicks of this fire horse energy happening right now too. But we do have a couple weeks or a month between this full moon and the next. But I would say a couple weeks before this full moon and the next new moon, which is a solar eclipse, to slow down and really feel into the heart. Like, where am I at with the dream that I want to create for myself this year? When I say the dream I want to create for myself this year, remember, we're always working with like in 1 year cycles, and we're kind of attuning it to the growing season within us. And as we move towards spring, there's something for this year that I want to focus on and accomplish. And I've already been feeling into that and dreaming that up this winter in stillness and in the creative space. And I moved through structuring my life and eventually into really getting up every day and putting the work into that thing. And the Leo full moon is checking me right now saying like, hey, is that aligned with your heart, your soul? Is that a soul aligned path that you've chosen to build this year? That's really important, right? And two, are you confident enough and brave enough? Do you believe in yourself enough to follow that path? And three, do you have enough of that fire pushing you, right? That energy to get up and really put the work in. That's the third thing that this full moon is asking us, to prepare us for when we give birth to this dream. And then in the fall, we move into, okay, I did it. I put the work in. I followed my path. Then that's where we see, was it heart aligned, or was it based on conventions or what our dad said we should do when we were 14 or 19 or something, right? And then we see in our fall harvest, am I proud of this? Does this feel good? Does this feel aligned? Or is this something that I'm giving away that I don't want to repeat or build on for next year? So this is where the seasons grow and build. And this full moon is prepping us for a new dream. And it's really asking us, is the dream feasible when it comes to the love that you have for creating on this planet and enjoying and being worthy of enjoying life on this planet for the sake of joy itself and pleasure itself? And then do you have the confidence to fulfill that? And if not, then you're going to see or feel when you put when you sit down to get quiet on that scenario that you thought of, right? What contractions come up, and you just write them down on a piece of paper so that you're aware of them, and you just look at them every day and acknowledge that they're there. The full moon isn't about a ritual of letting go and burning something, but that can be powerful for sure. But I always like rituals only if they're grounded in the actual mindful everyday work of working on shifting or being aware of those pathways and sitting with them. Sometimes, yeah, it helps me to burn something or throw something or, plant something, but it's got to be backed by actual embodiment work. And so you write down all of those things that still come up. For me, with all of this Aquarian energy being in my 12th house, I'm like looking at it and looking at what I really want to focus on this year is building new courses and, creating new content and allowing my work and my business to just expand creatively and give myself time to channel and write and to bring in new new data and new awareness. And I'm looking at all these planets in the 12th house and I'm saying, yes, this is like the most beautiful combo, because I always call the 12th house our channel. It's such a beautiful combo for me to be able to sit in the void and just like create and stew in that energy. But then over on the Leo side of things, it's like, but have I built my confidence that I can be a creative and, God will still provide for me? Have I learned that I'm allowed to open my heart and just flourish and have fun and do things, for the sake of creation itself, not for purpose, not for any kind of like spiritual mission, not for to make money, but just for joy itself. Though that's the polarity that I'm feeling into. So these really real things that show up, the sun is in Aquarius, giving you an opportunity to like learn innovative new ways to do things. But are you so nervous about your old school way of doing things and your lack of confidence in that, or feeling left behind or something, that you're not taking up the opportunity to really like receive all of this beautiful Aquarian energy with that stellium, because you feel like you're not worthy, or you feel like you're not smart enough or good enough, right? So this is kind of this beautiful balance that we are anchoring into at this time, is how much am I following my heart, my passion, and how much am I tampering it to, um, you know, like, okay, if this is your passion pushing you forward, it's like, what are the strings? If we want those horses just to like run and have the chance to gallop away, what are the horsemen holding your horses back, the fears that are going like slowing you down and keeping you from exerting that fire. And the cool thing about the season too is like, it's not necessarily that you're being asked to take action right now, because this isn't we're in an air sign. We're in Aquarius, which is still the planner. Aquarius is like the architect, or the specialist general that they bring in for the army to like create a new plan that hasn't been thought of yet. Someone who, we're still in the blueprint stages of like bringing in and using our mind to like figure out, plot exactly how our dream is going to manifest itself this year. Leo, yes, it's a fire moon, but it's a full moon. It's igniting or illuminating that which in you. Okay, sorry. It's illuminating that within you that is actually thwarting your fire or stopping you from having that full expression. So that's the blessing of this time too, is you're not asked to take action yet, but you are going to be shown where your action is like dulled or tampered down. I think that's it. Hmm. Yeah, I think just a reminder, like, if you're strong in Leo energy and you know that, then during this Leo full moon cycle, you really might feel called to elevate and really feel into that Aquarian energy. I would recommend doing things where you're like learning new things, learning, like bridging gap of information that you maybe haven't brought in before, but that's been speaking to you or calling to you. So getting a little bit more into your head if you're really strong in Leo fiery energy, and allowing yourself to innovate and to kind of like sit still a little bit and analyze. If you're really strong in Aquarius energy, there's a lot of that going on right now. And so it might pull you like really high and up and out of body and get you really like hyper and stimulated. And in that case, then I would recommend finding space to be more in your body, to do more of kind of creative outlets, get into flow states and that kind of thing. So that would be the help there, just because we do have so much polarity in the sky. And then, of course, as always, you're invited to the Architects of the New Earth group chat, which is so much more than astrology. It's a supportive community. But we do love to go into our charts every full moon and new moon. And, we have members in there that have been following along for years now. And we really, like, you really see how once you just get synced up with the natural cycles and you understand how they're happening in you every year in repeatable themes, this amount of self-awareness that you get from following these lunar cycles in relation to your own birth chart is just profound. Even if you think you're never going to learn astrology, you will, I promise, over time. in a way that's actually embodied. And then we're able to hold ourselves and each other throughout these different cycles. You know, yesterday I had a big kind of emotional day, and I was just like, you guys, I'm really feeling it. And just to be able to like put that in there for myself and others and have others hold you. And then also to be able to learn our cycles together and learn from each other is just beautiful. So that's what we do there. And you're invited if you want to join. Otherwise, thanks for following along. And I'll see you in 2 weeks for the solar eclipse.